Hey guys, I guess you can call this my first official YouTube video. I've done other videos and I've had a co-host, but this is the first one I'm doing alone. I kind of felt led to do this. I was on my lunch break today and just so many ideas just came rushing in my head of ideas, of what I can make a video about. And this today is actually my the first idea that came to my head. There's not going to be any editing in this video. This is going to be just as real as it comes. Yes, I talk with my hands a lot. First off, my name is Tally Cigarelli. I was born in New York. My parents are of Haitian descent. They're all from Haiti, so I'm first generation born in New York, moved to Florida in 2004. So I've been living in Florida for about 17 years now, so I am a Floridian. All right, so that's a little background of me, but I don't want to, do too much because today I have a specific topic to talk with you all about. And hopefully as I keep making videos, you guys will get to know me a little bit more. So today's topic is, it's a very real topic. Like I said, there's gonna be no editing in this video. I actually just came from the gym, so I didn't even shower yet because I didn't want to get all makeup up and all primed and perfect to make this video, because I wanted this video to come from the heart and I wanted it to be real. I didn't even want to change clothes. I just wanted to get straight to it. So here we go. And one more thing, you may see my cat, just going across the chair. Don't mind him. I just got him 2 weeks ago, and he got more height. He got more comfortable. So don't mind him. He loves me and he's all affectionate too. So you might get to meet him. So here we go, guys. So today I wanted to talk about building a relationship with your dad. Now, I know there's a whole lot of us, especially I would say in the African American community. I didn't want to, this is not specifically for African Americans or Black people, but because this could help anybody. But I know a lot of us, especially in the African American community, just the Black community in general. Sometimes we don't have a relationship with our dad, or sometimes we have an estranged relationship with our dad, or sometimes it's kind of a relationship, but it could be maybe not the most comfortable, not the most heartfelt, not the most close relationship. So today I'm just gonna give you guys some tips on how to build a relationship with your dad. An estranged dad. So this could work for an estranged dad, and that's a dad that you didn't really grow up with like that. Maybe it's a dad that you're just getting to know because you didn't grow up with him. Maybe it's a dad that maybe you guys had a relationship before, and then now as you grew older, that relationship kind of got weak. It kind of got a little bit, it kind of got a little bit, just awkward maybe. And see, my cat just taking advantage of this right now. So maybe it's a relationship that maybe your dad was in the house, but you guys never really built a strong foundation because after all, you guys didn't know how, a lot of the times we feel our parents, they're older than us, they live longer than us, they're supposed to know better. But sometimes we got to just realize sometimes they didn't know either. Sometimes they didn't know how to relate with their kid and build a relationship with you, especially when they didn't have a close relationship with their father, or their parents at all, and their father didn't show them how to build that close relationship. So when it comes to that stuff, I think this brings me into my first tip. The first thing we have to do is forgive your dad. Forgive your dad. And maybe this might work with your mom too. I'm not going to exclude it either, because I think this could definitely work with your mom. Probably anybody you want to build a relationship with, but today we're going to focus on your dad. you know. The first thing you got to do, whether you feel like you want to build a relationship with him or not, you know what I'm saying? Because not everybody, the truth of the matter is not everybody should build a relationship with their dad. Not everybody should pursue that, because that may not be the healthiest thing for you. You know, I know they're family. I know this world puts a lot of pressure on, just being in your family's life, whether they're toxic for you or not. But I am not an advocate for that. So if your dad is toxic, 100% of the time, and just being around him, being close to you, it just adds too much negativity into your soul, and it just puts you in the wrong state of mind. It declines your mental health, your emotional health in some type of way. Maybe, you know what I'm saying, maybe it's not the best idea to build a relationship with your dad, so I believe in God. I believe in Jesus Christ. He's my savior. So whatever you lack, whatever you're missing, God can 100% fill that void. So whatever the Bible says that he has tenfold, 100-fold that can make up for whatever you lack. So that means if for every parent, for every sibling, for every friend that you have to give up, you know what I'm saying, to walk the straight and narrow, to walk this righteous path with Jesus Christ, you know what I'm saying, God has 10 times the replacement for you. So first thing you want to do is actually decide if you want to build a relationship with your dad. But if not, the first thing we really have to do is forgive them. So let me tell you what we're going to forgive them for. We are going to forgive your dad for not giving you everything you needed. Not everything they had, but everything they needed. Because a fallacy that we believe that just keeps us in that stuck state of unforgiveness is actually the thought that we thinking that they withheld something from us. Like there's something that they should have given us, that they had to give us, that they didn't give us. And the fact of the matter is, that's not true. That's not true. You may be, even as I'm speaking, thinking of things that in your mind you felt like your dad had. Maybe it's money. Maybe it's more love. Maybe it's more attention and stuff like that. You may be thinking like he had it to give me, but he didn't. But our resolve, and we can resolve to it right now. Let's make the resolve right now that your parents in general and your dad, he gave you what he had. And what he didn't give you, he didn't have it. The fact about human beings is we cannot give you what we don't have. I know there's the shoulda, coulda, woulda, supposed to. Your parents supposed to be like this. They should have did this. They could have did this. We have to let that go. Okay, stop looking at other people's parents and comparing them to yours. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to compare what other people had to what you have. Just like you wouldn't want somebody comparing somebody else to you, you know what I'm saying, to make you look bad. Don't compare your parents to anybody else's parents. Just resolve that your parents, your dad, gave you what they had, and they couldn't give you less, they didn't give you less, and they didn't give you more. And that's the truth that we need to live in. That is the truth that we must live in from this point forward. Because I guarantee you, if you dig a little deep into your parents' past, that you're going to uncover some things that you never knew. You're going to uncover some things that will shock you. And you will uncover that I'm sorry, guys, this cat getting crazy. But anyways, you will uncover that they themselves did not get everything they needed. They didn't get it. It's not that they didn't get everything their parents had, but they themselves didn't get everything they needed either. So in turn, they were not able to give it to you. And that's really what it was. You know what I'm saying? Like, they cannot give you what they did not have. That's what I'm trying to say. So if they knew how to build a relationship with you, if they knew how to give you more attention, even though they should have, if they knew how to give you more love, if they knew how to relate with you more, okay, if they were that person, they would have done it. Woo, come on, release that right now. They would have done it. The only reason they didn't do it is because they didn't know how. They didn't have the tools. Okay, right now, if you're on this video watching videos on YouTube trying to better yourself, that means you're someone who, number one, you acknowledge that you are lacking the tools, and you acknowledge that you need healing and therapy, and you need to heal from this because you're someone who's invested in your own personal growth so you can gain the tools you need to give what you were lacking and then some to your children. So you'll have it. I declare and decree in Jesus' name that you'll have what your parents didn't give you, and you'll give them more abundantly, everything you were missing and more to your children. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. You'll have it. But right now, this is about you and your healing. And I believe the first step is we have to resolve that they gave you what they could. And you have to forgive them for what they didn't give you. And here's another one for some of us. Some of us, we love our parent. We love our dad. Even though he didn't give us everything we need, we love him. And we would never want to make him feel, we would never want to anger him, make him feel bad. But we need to acknowledge that even though out of everything that they did give us, it still wasn't enough. It's not that they were a bad parent. It's not like they withheld from you. It's not like they didn't want to give you, something that they had. So acknowledging that they gave you everything that they had, however, it's still not enough, that goes with it. And you got to forgive him. You got to forgive your dad for not giving you, for what he couldn't give you. And that's the first step. Forgive him for what he couldn't give you. When it comes to me, growing up, when the phases where you finally can remember things, like around 4, I don't remember my dad being there consistently. We were living at my grandmother's house in New York. It was me, my mom, and my older brother, and I just remember my dad coming by to visit every once in a while. He used to stay with us when my mom used to go to work. And I remember even as a little girl, I was searching for acceptance and love from my dad. I remember this one time he was cooking us breakfast because he always made like the best breakfast. This is about to make me cry, even remembering these memories. He used to always make us the best breakfast. It used to be just some eggs and some fried hot dogs. And I remember I came upstairs in the morning and his legs were like so ashy. His legs were so ashy. So I went downstairs because we were living in the basement area, and it was a nice basement, so don't get me wrong. So we were living in the basement. And then I went downstairs to the basement and grabbed some lotion. And I came upstairs to the stove and I just started lotioning up his legs. It was in the morning. He just woke up. Didn't even probably shower yet, but his legs were so ashy, and I just started lotioning his legs. As a little girl, I was searching for that love from my dad, and I was already learned subconsciously. I just realized right now from that, even things like that, I subconsciously learned that for some reason I would have to work for love. And even though, again, I'm not blaming my dad, but even at that point, I realized that maybe I felt less then, and I felt like I had to work for someone's love instead of someone giving me love freely. So that's something right there that just came to my realization. So my dad it was really inconsistent. You know what I'm saying? We used to go over to Brooklyn. He lived in the basement at his aunt's house as well. So we used to go hang out with him for a little bit. He used to come over every once in a while until he moved down to Florida first. And yeah, so throughout, let's say from the time I was born up until 9 years old, and these are vital years, guys, in a child's life, that my dad was in and out. It wasn't consistent. In those years, I remember being a very insecure child, not knowing who I was, getting bullied at school, you know, and, you know, right now looking back, I understand that something was missing from my life, but at that time I knew something was missing, but I didn't have the language for it. I didn't know, but I was at the same time, I was a very perceptive young girl, very smart young girl, very perceptive. So I could understand those things. Even if I didn't have a language for it, I could understand those things. So my dad was like in and out, kind of in and out, inconsistent until I was 9. And then at 9, we moved to Florida. My mom and dad decided to kind of try to make things work again. So we moved to Florida, and then we moved into an apartment with my dad. And the relationship with my mother, I would say it was not violent. It was just not, it was far from violent. It was not violent at all, but it wasn't loving. You understand? It wasn't close. It wasn't affectionate. It was just like, you know, it was just they were living with each other. They might as well have been roommates. They slept in the same bed and all of that, but they might as well have been roommates, because it didn't seem like my dad was in love with my mom, and it didn't seem like my mom was in love with my dad. And then we lived like that for a long time. And even for a while, because my dad, he wasn't very active in the household. He wasn't really taking a leadership role in the household. He was very like, you know, he went to work, and he did work hard. He worked at one point. He was the only one working. He was working 2 jobs, literally sleeping at work, you know what I'm saying, working overnight, working a day job, working overnight. And then, but he always worked at least 8 hours a day, 8 to 10 hours a day, about 6 days a week. So my dad really, like, he really worked hard. Okay. And then, you know, but because, I guess my dad didn't know how to really build a relationship with me and my brother. He was very like, it felt like it was me, my mom, my brother in the household, and then it was him. He didn't really like, he didn't really feel like he was a part of us. You know what I'm saying? He didn't even interact with us. That's what we were missing. And I think it helped. I think in turn, it kind of built up a resentment. I built up a resentment for my dad because of that, because I was a kid. So I wanted that attention, that affection from my dad, but he wasn't giving it to me. So in turn, I think as the kid response is to really like build up resentment. Like, why are you even here? That's how I felt. I remember feeling that, like, why are you even here? If you're not going to be an active part of our lives, and it's going to feel like you don't even belong here, and you're not even trying to be like, you know, a tight knit family with us, why are you even here? So I felt that way about him. So me and him, like, we were like estranged for a while. Like me and him, like, I didn't want to talk to him. You know what I'm saying? I felt like he was wrong for my mom. I was asking, like, Mom, why are you with him? Like, you need to like get a divorce. That's how I really felt about my dad. Like, you need to get a divorce. I even believe like I wish death on the man. And that's how serious it was. Like, I said, I wish he wasn't even here. Like, I didn't like him. And one thing about my dad is, you know, during like the day, throughout the day, you know what I'm saying, on the regular, he really had nothing to say to us except when he needed to correct something. Now, my dad is big on table manners. He's big on, you know, just having class. So anytime he needed to correct us about something, that's when he had to speak. That's when he spoke up and had something to say. So you could imagine how that could go when you have a dad who doesn't interact with you, doesn't show love, doesn't hug, doesn't kiss, doesn't say I love you on the regular, but the only time you want to speak up and say something is when you're correcting. So how are you going to react to someone like that? You're just going to dislike them even more. You're just going to try to stay away from them, try to ignore them, act like they're not there even more. So it just built up like a lot of resentment. You know, especially I'm a hard-headed person. I'm hard-headed. You know, my brother, he was like nonchalant about it because that's how he is, a cool, like easygoing person. But me, I'm like, you ain't finna tell me what to do. Please, you're not even my dad. Like, I stopped calling him dad. I called him by his first name. I called him Alex. And my brother, he just kind of followed behind me. So for a long time, we didn't even call my dad by his first name. We didn't call my dad. We called him Alex because that's his name. So that's how serious it really was for me. You know, I don't know how serious it was for my brother. I can't speak on his experience, but that's how serious it was for me. Like, I'm like, why are you even here? Mom, please divorce him. Like, please leave us alone. And so when I was about 18, so 9 to 18, we were living in a household with my dad. And at 18 years old, him and my mom had this big blow up, and then the police got called. They said someone had to go to jail, so they ended up taking my dad to jail. He basically never forgave my mom about this. Till this day, he will still talk your ear off about that incident. And I remember that incident. It was like May 18th, you know, Haitian Day. Oh, what's up to my Zoes? Okay. So yeah, that day specifically, that's the day he got arrested. So he basically never came back to our house again for maybe, I don't want to say it, maybe a year. I don't think it was a full year, but maybe a year. Like, me and our dad, we didn't really speak like that. You know, they were over. It was done. It was over. And then I think maybe I want to say, I don't think it was a full year because I had to start college in January. And that January, he was the one taking me to school in the morning 2 days a week. So maybe for like 6 months, I want to say. So 6 months, us and our dad had no like relationship at all. Like, we didn't hear from him like that, maybe. And then he started seeing that he needed to build a relationship with us. And for a change in events, actually, for a turn in events, that's when me and my dad started building a relationship. Do you see that? Like, after 9 years of him being in the household, inactive, you know what I'm saying, barely interacting with us, after a big blow up with my mom, and then, you know, he had to go to jail, and then he had to like be bitter with my mom. After that, that's what led to me and my dad actually starting to build a relationship. Do you believe that? To this day, I can't believe that. And to be honest, and I even have told him that. I actually said this spitefully sometimes, and I'm like regretting it in my heart. Because I said it for my mom to be spiteful when she got me mad one time. But I was like, you've become a better man after you and my mom broke up. You know, so all these years since I was like 9, I was telling my mom, why are you with him? You need to leave him. You need to leave him. And then after they finally break up, my dad becomes a different kind of man. I don't know why. I just don't know why. I don't even know how to explain it. But he became a more active father, you know, a more loving father. Just different, guys. Just different. Side note here, I just want to say that, you know, this has nothing to do with building a relationship with your father, but this is for people in relationships. Sometimes you just need to let that relationship go. Because if that person's not going to change for you, they're going to go find somebody else. When you finally let go, they're going to find somebody else and they're going to change for that person. Just side note there. But that's for another video. So let's get back to building a relationship with your father. So basically, I gave you guys the background story about the relationship with me and my dad. Okay, so that's all what happened. So the relationship was very, it was cool, it was okay, but it wasn't deep at all. It wasn't deep. It was very surface level. Okay, so this next step, after forgiving my dad, and then it was a process to forgive him too, because it didn't all happen in one day. I was really like, we were trying to build without me saying my piece, and it was kind of working, but I still had a lot to tell him in my heart. And that probably didn't come out until, I have to say, maybe 3 years later, maybe like 3-4 years later, I would say I finally spoke my piece. And let me tell you, it wasn't not pretty. My dad, he's usually like a real laid back, just very like strong person, very like unemotional person. And I chose one day to really confront him about everything I felt in my heart. I asked him, I said, why weren't you there when I was young? And at first he kind of like did not like see what I was talking about. He was like, I was there when you was young. Oh, I was there to take you to kindergarten. And then he didn't remember it wasn't me that he took to kindergarten, because I remember my first day of kindergarten with my mom, because me and her got into a fight on my first day of kindergarten because I was so nervous and she was so smiley in my face, and I was like, stop smiling. But yeah, so I remember that first day. He was remembering my brother's first day of kindergarten, okay, when I wasn't even in school yet. He thought he was there. I said, no, you weren't there, and you weren't there from when I was kindergarten to 9th grade. You weren't there. And then my mom was actually there when I was confronting him, and he just started to blow up and get really angry. He got to start really angry. He even started crying, and then he was like yelling, but it was like this screechy voice, you know what I'm saying? Like he was like hurt at the same time. And I wasn't being disrespectful, but I was saying my piece, everything I felt. Why wasn't you there? And you was in the house with us. You were so unemotional. And then he was like just saying things back. I even forget what he was saying. He was like, I was there. No, you wasn't. And then he just really felt attacked. I understand that right now, like he felt attacked, but he needed to hear that, because I needed to speak my piece, because there is no way that me and my dad would grow and build that relationship that we needed to build unless I said my piece. And he got very angry. He was even crying a little bit. My mom even jumped in. She was like, Telly, stop, sorry, stop. But I knew at that age that I needed to speak my piece. So I said, no, Mom, I'm not gonna stop. So she said, Telly, stop, let him calm down. Because he even got like some health issues. He got high blood pressure. So my mom was like, Telly, stop. It's like, no, Mom, I gotta say what I gotta say. And sometimes that's what you have to do to heal a situation. You gotta speak your truth. So what do we have for right now? We have forgive them for what they didn't have for you. Second, you gotta speak your truth, okay? The number one thing is, though, you decide if you want to build a relationship or not. Either way, you have to go down that forgiveness path, because that forgiveness path releases that energy, that bitterness, that energy that you don't need to carry for the rest of your life. That's what you have to decide. The thing that you have to decide. Next, the first step, and I just remember this because this is an actual thing that's happened. So the first step is what I say: forgive them for what they didn't have, what they couldn't give you. Okay, that's number one. Number two, say your piece. Okay, this might take you a while. Like I said, it took me 2 to 3 years to really say my piece, but one day I had to let it out. And no matter how they react, do it as respectful as you can, but be firm with it and say that I needed this from you and you had not given it to me. And this makes me feel sad. This makes me feel unwhole. This has been on my heart, And I felt like, even though it didn't hit exactly the way I needed it to hit, because of his reaction, at least I got everything out. And the thing about it is, at first he had that reaction, and then later on he came to me, because that's how my dad is. He could have a reaction, or he can see something or not and not have a reaction, and later on, after he thinks about it, and I believe that's how men are in general. Later on, he came back to me and he started, like, we discussed it on a calmer level, and he said how he felt and I said how I felt, and then we could finally let it go. I could finally let it go. So speak your piece and let it go. Forgive, speak your piece, and let it go. Okay? So that's number 2. And number 3, and I think this might be the last step. No, it probably won't be the last step, but this is one of the biggest steps. I didn't want this video to be past 30 minutes, but hey, it is what it is. Hopefully I can make this by 45 minutes, okay? So here we go. The third step, this is the biggest step, guys, and feel me on this. Please feel me on this. Here we go. So this third step is, okay, you have to accept your dad for who he is. Okay? And maybe you gotta accept him for who he is not. Same thing, interchangeable. Interchange it the way that makes sense for you. You have to accept your dad the way he is. So for me, I know my dad is not very affectionate, but we're gonna talk about that later. I know that he is not very affectionate. I know that he likes to lecture a lot. And my dad can talk. If you think I can talk right now, my dad, he can talk, and he will drill his point in. My God. And he will drill his point in. And there's some things about my dad, like, I just had to accept. There's some things, my dad, he has issues with unforgiveness and bitterness in his heart as well. He's not an easily forgiving man, okay? So there's some things that he has to let go of that he hasn't let go of either, that he will keep reminding and bringing up, like things with my mom, okay? And he will talk about it, and he will talk about things with my brother. You know what I'm saying? That's just how my dad is. You know what I'm saying? And and then maybe you have a point of how you feel, and maybe he cannot receive it. There's some things I believe that I can say to my dad and he just doesn't receive it. Like, I've been trying for years to get him to, like, forgive, because if it's 2013, it's about to be May. This is, what is it? It's not about to be May, but it's about to be February 2021. That means it's been 8 years, almost 8 years since he got arrested. He has not forgiven my mom, okay? And if I still bring it up today, he will not budge. I say, Dad, you need to forgive. You need to forgive. He does not feel that at all, okay? And that's not good, guys. That's not good, and I do worry about him for that, but he is not the most forgiving person. But I have to accept my dad for who he is. Accept that, okay? Accept that he can give me what he has. Accept that he can give me what he has, and he didn't not give me what he has. You know, I have to accept that. So that's my third and biggest step. Accept however your father is. The only way to be able to build a relationship with him is to accept him for who he is. Now, this goes back to what I said first. If your dad is too toxic, because the truth of the matter is, people are not gonna be, I don't know how to say this, everyone is not gonna be 100% good for you all the time. You know, like, not everyone. There's sometimes people could be moody. People could have ups and down days. You know, not every time someone's gonna be, you know, your 100% spirit locked in, you connection, you know, high spirits all the time. So forgive your dad. And maybe that times of forgiveness. Forgive him and accept him for who he is. So however he is, my dad, for me, it's like, okay, I'm going to get a lecture. Every time I see this man, he has a lecture for me. So let me sit my behind down and prepare myself to receive a lecture from him every time I see him, because that's how my dad is. And then I learned how to find something to be thankful for, even in the way he is. Because I understand that there's other dads who probably don't really care how they're how, you know, care to lecture their children. And if your dad is like that, that's okay too. You understand? You have to find something to be grateful for your dad. So I'm grateful that my dad cares enough to give me a lecture about something about life, and he's there for me because I'm 25. My dad is 60 years old, about to turn 60 this year, you know, and I may not have that much longer with him. And that's what we need to realize. That's what you probably need to realize. You may not have that much longer with your dad. So if you want to build this relationship, if you're around my age and you want to build this relationship with your dad, and he's probably maybe a little bit older than you have to accept him for who he is. Understand that. You don't have to take any abuse from your dad. You don't have to take any negative criticism, because there's good criticism, but you don't have to take any negative criticism from your dad. If your dad is that toxic, then when he starts acting like that, you could cut the conversation short. Maybe it's only a phone conversation you could have with your dad. Maybe you can only see him maybe once a week, once a month, you know, but just realize that you may not have that much longer with your dad. So you have to accept him for who he is. Find something that you can appreciate in him. You know, why he's still here, why he's still alive, and just value that. Be grateful for that. Okay, for me, it's knowing I'm going to get a lecture every time. And I know that my dad, he has problems with unforgiveness as well. Okay, but still, I find something to be grateful for, that my dad is still here with me. And if your dad is not here with you, that's a good thing this is a good time to realize that you just need to forgive him for what he did, and realize that he didn't have it to give you whatever you were lacking, whatever you was missing. So forgive your dad, even if he passed on. Okay, even if he died, even if he passed on, forgive your dad. So, but if he's still with you, use this little bit of time, or who knows how much time you have left with him, to forgive him for his mistakes and appreciate him for who he is. Find something to value in him. Okay, so if your dad is, you know what I'm saying, if he's still maybe gangsta, if he's still in the street life, you know, if he's still into like women, you know, like fine, maybe it's a small stretch of time that you can have with him. Maybe it's something that he likes to do that's not toxic, that you can do with him, you know, maybe that. Find something that he does that you can do with him. My dad, he stays home. When he's not working, he stays home a lot. So I can just go over his house and sit with him. I just sit with him for as many hours as I can, you know, and then we just sit and then we talk, and then I go home, you know, and I probably could do that once a week. I do it once a week now, but before it was probably like once a month. Okay, but I realized, you know, my dad is getting older, so I do want to spend as much time with him as possible, you know, and appreciate the time I have left with him. So that's what you need to do. Find something you and your dad does. You probably don't have it in common. You probably don't like to do it, but he likes to do it. So do it with him. Do it with him, because this is part of it. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. I'm trying to beat this in. I'm not trying to impress you. I'm trying to impress upon you that you need to appreciate the time left you have with your dad. That's the most important thing. So whatever activity you like to do it with him. And he may not appreciate your presence, you being with him, you being there with him at first, but he will begin to appreciate your presence. Your presence. He will begin to value you being there with him. You know, even at first he doesn't realize it, he will value you being there. It will come. That relationship will develop just from that. You know, nothing is built in a day, so you just got to give it some time. You got to, you know, be a little bit consistent with it, however consistent you can be, maybe a week, maybe every month, maybe every week. You know what I'm saying? Do what you could do. Do what you can do in your free time, you know? So that's what you have to do. You have to find something you can relate with him, because I know he didn't relate with you when you were younger, but now you're teaching him. So that probably brings me to a fourth point in this. You're teaching your dad. Okay, I know because he couldn't give you what you needed, and he couldn't take that leadership role, that he couldn't be the first person, maybe the bigger person to come to you. You have to come to him. I know there's a lot of you who, with unforgiveness in your heart, and you're saying that you're not going to come to your dad. You're the dad. You're supposed to come to me. Listen to me. Let that go. Let that go. You don't know how much time you have with your dad. You have to let that go. Okay? You have to let it go, and you have to realize that maybe it's you who has to take the first step. If it's you who has to take the first step, then you have to be the leader. And there's nothing wrong with being the leader. And maybe you have to be the teacher. Okay? So you're showing your dad, you're spending time with your dad. You're making the first move. You're showing your dad love. You're showing him the attention. And I promise you that he may not show you it back in great proportions, but you're teaching your dad how to relate to you, how to build a relationship with you, how to show affection and attention to you, and he will begin showing that to you. Me and my dad, we used to not even talk on the phone. I used to never call him, and then because in my mind I'm like, you're the dad, you're supposed to call me. But no, I said, you know what, whatever. So I started calling him. You know what happened? He started calling me first. Because when I used to say, you never call me first, he used to say, why you the child? You supposed to call me. That's his thinking. That's his thinking in his mind. I can't change that. My dad is 60 years old. I can't really change his thought process at 60 years old. And if I'm going to appreciate the time I have left with him, I need to just respect that about him. You know what I'm saying? I need to respect that about him. I need to respect that about him and just appreciate and value him and accept him for who he is. So in his mind, I need to be calling first. So you know what? I started just calling him first. And we used to have conversations for 30 minutes, 30 to an hour at a time. And guess what? On his break at work, guess who he called? Me. And we used to have 30 minutes to an hour conversations on the phone or over his break. And I remember one time he worked at the mall. I used to work at a restaurant right near the mall. Guess what? On our break, we walk in the mall because he's a security officer in the mall. So on our break, we're walking in the mall together. We're building that relationship. Was it the comfortablest at first? No, it wasn't. But you know what? We had to move past that awkward phase right now, and do what we do. Make it shake. I was in the car, the security vehicle at the mall. I was in the car riding with him. On my break, go find him. And then guess what? He started calling me first. Okay, and next thing you know, I'm at his house, because for a while I didn't even know where he lived. But next thing you know, I'm at his house. He calling me to come over, And at this point, right now, he cooked Thanksgiving this past Thanksgiving, and me and my brother came to his house, and he cooked Christmas dinner too. You understand? So this is just stairs that get built up. And you just have to see the process through. And that's what it is. And my dad started giving affection. He started giving me attention. He started pouring love into me. He started telling me he loves me. So I literally had to teach my dad how to be a dad. He didn't know. By me opening my heart to him, he was able to open his heart to me. How beautiful is that, guys? How beautiful is that? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying everyone's going to get the same results out of their dad. If you try and you see that maybe for a while, and don't try for like a couple months and think this is going to change, at least you got to at least be in there for a year, so after you tried the best you can try, okay? After you try the best you can try, just resolve that your dad is who he is. Still forgive him for what he couldn't give you. Still forgive him. Still accept him for who he is. And move on with your life and know that God got you, and God can fill any void. God can fill any void, anything you're missing. God got you. But if this is something that you want to try, I guarantee you, maybe you need a little prayer in that, because I believe I did pray for me and my dad to have a better relationship. Now that I think about it, I did pray for that. And guess what? Me and my dad have a great relationship now. We have a great relationship. I'm there every week. We talk. And let me tell you something about me and my dad. We still bump heads. So this maybe be my last point right here. Me and my dad still bump heads. We still have disagreements, and our voices still go up a notch, and we still going back and forth. And sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, I'm ready to go. I'm not even trying to be at this house no more. But you know what? I come back next week because my dad is leaving. I'm still coming up in this world, kind of. I'm only 25. I'm still coming up in this world. My dad is leaving this world. So I gotta accept him for who he is, forgive him for what he's not, and appreciate the time I have left with him and value what I can get from him. Okay, I have people coming to me because my dad, you would think that he's not a relatable guy, but people love my dad. Other people who weren't raised with him, who's not his kids, they happen to like love my dad. And they always tell me, you have a good dad. You have a good dad. Listen to what he says. Appreciate him for what he is. I wish I had my dad. So that's what they tell me about my own dad. So obviously they don't, this is from the outside looking in, but obviously they see and they know something in my dad, and he has that factor in him, and he has a lot of great information to share with me. So you know what I do? I listen to him. I listen to his information. I take him in. And what a lot of things, sometimes I don't agree with what he says. The best thing you can do is what they say is you chew the meat and you spit out the bones. That means you take what you need, and whatever you don't, you spit it out. You understand? And then for you who maybe your dad's a little bit more a little bit too toxic, when you see the conversations start to take a turn for the worse, when you see the visit is starting to take a turn from the worst, end it. Be like, Dad, I love hanging out with you. I love meeting up with you today. Same time next week. All right, I'll see you soon. And that's it, guys. That's it. Learn how to cut it short. That's a boundary. Put up those boundaries. Learn and cut it short. And that's all we need to do. Okay? So just for a review, and I didn't write these points down. I just made it up as we go along because this is something I've actually practiced in my life that I want to share with people. So here we go. Number one, we have to decide if we want a relationship with your dad. If you don't, it's fine. Okay? God will provide something to fill that space. God fills that space all by himself, but he will provide tenfold of dads in your life to fill up that void, and he will heal you from that void as well. But if you choose to build a relationship with your dad, the first thing you got to do is forgive him for what he couldn't give you. Next, you got to resolve that he gave you what he could, and what he didn't give you, he didn't have. Don't stop thinking, put that thinking away, throw it in the trash that he had something, he withheld something from you. Your dad would not withhold something for you. If he knew, even if he had it, if he knew to give it to you, if he knew better, he would do better. So just resolve that your dad did not have it. And this will put your mind at ease and help you forgive him. Your dad just didn't have it. Next, you have to say your piece. Say your piece. Whatever was on your heart, no matter how he's going to take it, don't think that it's going to be a whole change around. It's going to change everything change everything about your dad's attitude and demeanor for you. But it doesn't matter. You have to get out everything that you have to say to your dad, and say it to him, and do it in a respectful manner. That's the third thing. The fourth thing, I guess, you gotta accept him for who he is. You have to accept him for who he is. However he is, you gotta accept him for who he is. Okay? So for who he is and for who he's not. Okay? I think this is the fifth thing. Fifth thing is you have to find an activity that he likes that you can participate in it with him. So for me, it's just going by his house and hanging out with him and doing nothing. Hanging out with him. We maybe go out to eat. We maybe stay in, just hanging out with him. Find an activity that he likes, participate with him consistently, maybe every week, every month. Maybe it's just a phone call that you give him a week, every month. just participate that with him. Maybe some dads don't like to be on the phone, so you have to be there in person and participate with him in something that he can do, and that actually builds the relationship. Builds the relationship between you guys. And then the last thing I had to say is that you have to in doing these things and showing him that love, that attention, that affection, and doing something that he loves, you're teaching your dad how to be a dad. And then one of these days, with prayer, a miracle is that your dad will start, because as a human being, we are people. You pour into us, we pour back. So as a miracle, maybe one day your dad is gonna start to reciprocate that attention, that affection that you needed. I told you that my dad used to not call, and then he used to not call, and then call out of nowhere and be like, oh, you don't call me. And I'm like, no, you're supposed to call me first. And then he was like, no, you're supposed to call me first. And then I said, whatever, I'll just start calling him first. And then after a while, he was just calling me first. Okay, so yes, you're teaching your dad how to be a dad, essentially, and he starts reciprocating that. And even though it can never make up for what happened in the past, guys, okay, it will heal something. It will begin to heal that void along with God. God is very important in this, but along with God, it will begin to heal that past and help you move past it and help you heal that inner child with you. Now, thank you for listening to my first ever YouTube video. I'm sorry it was this long. I never meant that to happen, but I feel that a lot of people needed to hear this. And I thank you for watching. I thank you for listening. There will be more videos to come. If you want to subscribe, go ahead and subscribe. You know, if I'm for you, I'm for you. If I'm not for you, I'll be for someone else. Okay, right now I'm going to go take a shower. I just finished, working out at the gym. Thank you guys so much. All right. See you soon. Love you.